Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Dune, the first official, and these are official reactions, have found themselves online. Why and how do we know that these are legit? Well, it's screened, isn't it, at the Venice Film Festival. And those in attendance have posted their initial reactions online. There is an embargo, but they're still allowed to post their reactions. So I like to call these review reactions. And they are. You can get a sense, you know. A review is just a elongated reaction at the end of the day, yes, with a little bit more thought behind it, but it's still the same thing. All of this is overwhelmingly positive. I actually haven't found anything negative. Now, whether that indicates that this is good or bad, who knows? A lot of people like to say, well, you know, when there's nothing negative, said in a reaction or whatever, they're all shills, blah, blah, blah. I've got a lot of hope for this film. I really do think this film will be amazing anyway. So this is sort of a confirmation bias for me. I'm aware, but at least I'm self-aware enough to sit here and admit that before I dive into the reactions. I think ultimately, if you're looking forward to this film, you'll look at all of these things very favourably. And if you're not a fan of Denis Villeneuve, you'll probably look at these reactions and probably shout shill. I get it. I do get it. But Denis Villeneuve does do scale well. He does scale very, very well. And remember, a lot of people have issues with, the way he conducts his stories. At the end of the day, this isn't even his story. So if he's working on an adaptation with his level of cinematography skills, his level of framing, directorial aspects, and then the scale and such forth, I think this is a recipe for success. But I have spoken enough. Let's have a look, shall we? Dune is out of this world in every sense of the word, and a theatrical experience unlike any other. Seeing this at Venezia 78 was a bit like witnessing history. This is one of the few films that are bound to shape the decade in cinema. I hope so. I really hope so. Why do I hope so? I'm sick to bloody death of superhero movies. I want this. I want sci-fi epics. I want sword and sandals. Semi-sword and sandals, but you know what I mean. I'm sick of bloody Marvel. I'm sick of DC. I want this to make a return. This tests people. This is what I want to see. I hope to God this shapes a decade in cinema history. I really, really do. So that's obviously resoundingly positive. We had this one here. It said Venezia 78 Dune Part 1, because it is Part 1, just as an FYI. It's the first half of the book, so there should be a Part 2. And I do wonder if they open with something like that to let everyone know. It's jaw-dropping, gorgeous to watch, rousing to experience. It pumps and pumps and pumps that spice in your veins. Ferguson is commanding, intense as usual. Chalamet gives his best in such a subdued action role. Geometric elegance in chaos. Love the sound of that. Slight negative, I guess, is Chalamet gives his best in a subdued action role. Is that to say, he tries his best, but the role just isn't maybe for him? I don't know. I'm trying to look outside of the bounds of this confirmation bias that, I undoubtedly have here. But still, positive. Very positive. And then we had this one here from whoever. Dune 2021. Director Villeneuve. Denis Villeneuve may be the most gifted filmmaker I've ever seen. To watch Dune is to have yourself taken apart, undone, touched at the place of your own essence. It is to be turned back, as if after a long absence, into a human being. Some poetry right there. Do you see how these these are reviews, aren't they? They're just small reviews. I love the sound of that. Really love the sound of that. That's epic. Absolutely epic. And again, it is all resoundingly positive. Speechless. Literally speechless after Dune. What do you say to that? I mean, it's short and sweet and to the point. Can confirm, Dune movie will possibly go down as one of the great epics in sci-fi history, and it should. This is the book that inspired Star Wars. It should go down as sci-fi history. It absolutely should. Like if it's handled by someone competent, it's not none of this is surprising. But remember, this inspired Star Wars, right? So if this is handled by someone with just the remotest level of competency, You've got something good. So none of this should be a surprise at this point. None of this should be. The acting is stellar across the board. The VFX plus practical effects are beautifully mixed. This may be Hans Zimmer's best score ever. That's epic. That last bit there, Hans Zimmer's best score ever, that's what I'm slightly dubious of. Just because Hans Zimmer, like, I like Hans Zimmer, but sometimes his scores can be quite samely. Quite repetitive. Jasper cameo! Yeah, my boy! He was just down by my feet. Anyway, there we go. We got Jasper cameo in the video. And then we got this. Reviews are still under embargo, so I'll just say Dune. Obviously positive. Like, of course it is. Very, very positive there. And then we had this one. Sometimes you just know when you've seen an all-time great. And Dune is, to me, an all-time great. Denis Villeneuve's masterpiece is a sweeping symphony of spectacle, sound, and storytelling. A cinematic odyssey that is every bit as visceral as it is epic. Now that, again, is not a surprise. If anyone remembers Blade Runner 2049, whether you liked it or you disliked it, one of the things he did very, very well was actually crafting music. You know, a sweeping symphony of spectacle, right? Now, they don't necessarily point out music, for, you know, as the point here, but they do. They register musical phrases, symphony. Part of what Denis did very, very well with Blade Runner, I thought, was have the score as part of the movie. It was a character in and unto itself. You can't see my hands, I'm doing this. It was a character in and unto itself. And it really was. There's that scene where they're just crossing over the city and there's that big bomb sound. Oh, okay, I'm not doing it any justice. But you get my point. It was part of the movie. It was a character. It helped shape everything. It moved things along nicely. It fit the pace and the tone and the structure. And you know, talking about a sweeping symphony of spectacle, it added to that scale. You know, hearing those massive chimes come down gave a real sense of scale because you just felt infinitesimal against the cityscape. And if they do anything remotely like that with Dune, you're onto a winner. You're onto something absolutely fantastic. So there you go, first reactions. There are more, by the way. You can find them on Twitter just using the hashtags and stuff. There are absolutely more. But this sounds great. What do you guys think? Let me know. If you're new here, hit subscribe. You stayed to the end, you might as well. Cheers. Take care.